for a middle class South Indian family, I think the success benchmark would be is that you finish your engineering, you take up a job with Infosys and have a 9 to 5 job, and your marriageability index would go up in case if you work for one of the large multinationals. And I think in my mind I was always thinking that why is it not possible for me to build one, and is there a way that I could flip it around where I build a multinational company and I am seen as a benchmark for others. Welcome guys, hi, my name is Suhas Gopinath. I am the founder of Globals and CEO of HappyEMI. So welcome to Backstage with Millionaires. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about my journey of founding a company at 14, building it, scaling it shamelessly, and then building HappyEMI today. I come from a non-business middle class family where my dad used to work for the Indian Defense, and my brother was 5 years elder to me, and he had the privilege of getting more pocket money so that he could go to the internet cafe, so that he could use internet for his project work. And I was always tagging along with him because I didn't have enough pocket money to pay for myself for the cybercafe. And I always used to see the shop being shut down in the afternoon, and when I used to cycle back home, I used to see that the shop being shut down, and I felt that, hey, my school gets over by 1 p.m. and that's exactly when I went to the cybercafe owner and I requested him that when he goes for his lunch, is there any way I could operate the shop when he steps for lunch. In exchange, I would use the internet for free of cost, and it's probably one of my best deals in my life because I literally went to a stranger and I could convince him to believe me to run the shop in his absence. And we call it as the Indian Jugaad, where you find your own ways to, of course, to solve a problem, or if you're in a situation, how do you hack through your way to have access to the resources that you couldn't. And I started to learn programming, starting with Perl, C++, and PHP. So I started to learn how to build websites, and I started to build websites for American companies as a freelancer, and started to bid for projects on these freelance marketplaces. Started to get some projects, and when large companies wanted to outsource projects, they always used to have a prejudice on outsourcing to someone like me who was very young, and I was very too naive when I made my CV. I never faked anything. I told I'm still 14, I could build websites, and then they used to send a sarcastic mail saying that, hey, I think you need to finish your university. But for me, this was I was so passionate about this that I think building websites and hanging on the internet was more important for me than my own education then. And I think it was one of my defining moments of my life where I decided to start a company. It was called Globals, and I realized that in India you can't incorporate a company if you're under 18. And so I had to start the company in the US as a Delaware company, as a corporation company in the US, and then start bidding for projects, and people started to take me more seriously because now you're writing a mail as a CEO of a company. So even though you're a one-man show, but you have a legal entity that kind of shadows all other aspects like your age, your academic background, and all of it. And I could see they were more serious. They were responding to me more on time. They were willing to pay me almost 2 to 3 times the money I would have charged when I was an individual. I think as an entrepreneur, I was less of a programmer or a technocrat, but I was more of a shameless salesman. And I think I've always in my journey I've always seen that in entrepreneurship it's critical sometimes to be shameless. Means if you have to hustle your way up, you need to have that fire in the belly. You need to be hyper aggressive. When there were companies in the US that were unwilling to engage my company to build websites, I was like 17, and I still remember I started to make fake email accounts and started to send them an email telling that, hey, I would like to import your company's products or services, can I have a look at your website? And I knew that these companies did not have a website, and they used to reply back to my fake account saying that, hey, We do not have a website yet, but I can send you the stuff as a PDF or as a presentation. And I reply back telling that, hey, we do not have a website. You don't meet my supplier standards. And that's how I used to make them feel my rejection. And after a few weeks, I used to send them an email in my own mail account telling that I could build a website for you guys. Are you interested? And of course, these were my victims who realized that they've lost a business because they didn't have a website, and they started to give it. But after I built it, I also disclosed my identity. I told them I was the one. A few companies got very upset. They started to escalate to their legal attorneys, and I was still 17. And I also realized that I can't be prosecuted if I'm under 18. And I think it's probably one of the few occasions where I felt very good of starting very young. For a middle class South Indian family, I think the success benchmark would be is that you finish your engineering, you take up a job with Infosys, because they used to send this nice white fancy cars to pick you up in the morning, and you wear their tag and have a 9-to-5 job, and your marriageability index would go up in case if you work for one of the large multinationals. And I think in my mind I was always thinking that why is it not possible for me to build one, and is there a way that I could flip it around where I build a multinational company and I am seen as a benchmark for others. And I still remember when I failed in my mathematics paper in the school, and there were statements made by my teacher that, okay, your second son is horrible, he needs to take inspiration from his brother, he needs to pull up his socks. And my mother, on the way back, she started to ask me to swear on her head, telling that I want you to focus on your studies, and I don't want you to go to the internet cafe again. And that's when I told my mom that the world's richest man, Bill Gates, hasn't completed his education, so he's a dropout. So why do you force me to complete mine? And she told that his horoscope and my horoscope are not the same. He's born in an auspicious time. He's born in the US. And I still chose that, okay, it's still going to be an adventurous path, and I definitely want to take the risk. And I think, I think it was absolutely worth to take the risk. I think the biggest fear is probably of not doing things, of failure. So you should always have the fire in the belly, and you should at least make an attempt. Because the worst thing for you is one day you wake up and you see in the newspaper that exactly the same idea you had, someone else had the same idea, and the only difference was he took action on that idea. I think in India probably that like many of them, especially students and aspiring entrepreneurs, have amazing ideas, but the problem is the financial insecurity, the fear of coming out of their comfort zone holds them back, and they don't take action on their ideas at all. And I think for me it was very important that I take action, and I wanted to see that okay, the worst to worst, what's going to happen? I need to shut down the company, and I need to take up a job. That's fine. I was able to pacify myself, telling that okay, if failure happens, it's not the end of the world. And I think for me, one of the biggest success I personally feel when I was a CEO of Globals was when the Economist magazine featured the company as one of the world's fastest growing technology company, which the Westerners simultaneously fear and admire. And I think when it was the opening title of the story, I think I consider that as a personal achievement, because at a very short time, from almost nothing and without any massive funding, you built a company organically with your own revenues. And when I was also on the peak of the limelight, where like every newspaper in India or outside the world would say that okay, he's the youngest CEO, the world's youngest CEO, things like that, I feel that my own personal identity became so big that it was shadowing the company's brand and the company's identity. And it was very important that I took few steps back, I maintained low profile, and put the company in the forefront. So because of the limelight I was, and it was definitely helpful for the business, because we got more business, we got more clients, we got more connects. So be it from Fortune 500 companies to startups, and of course everyone in between that, so who wanted to work with Globals. And with that I became one of the young global leader of the World Economic Forum, and I was the youngest member in the history of the World Economic Forum to be there when I was 21. One of the unforgettable moments when I was out there at Davos was probably to meet Bill Gates, and I think yeah, so it's again to be shameless when I realized that when he went to the washroom in the at the conference after his speech, he was always heavily guarded by his guards, and I knew that I have no appointment, I can't simply bump into him because he had restrictions. But when he went to the washroom, I think that's exactly, I saw it as an opportunity where I was waiting for him in the washroom. I met him there and I made my elevator pitch, and yeah, after that I spent like 15 minutes outside the washroom with Bill Gates in the lobby. I think one of my biggest learning of meeting Bill Gates was, and I think it's something which I still follow and I keep telling my friends, is that he made a statement that the past is a thief, and if you allow it, it will steal your future in the present. Because many times as individuals we are so much bogged about our past, and we carry so much baggage about those. I think it's very important that you don't allow your past to steal your future and the present. And I think it's good to have those learnings from the past, but you don't allow the baggage from your past to become a burden so that you can't move ahead. Okay, you may have seen failure as an entrepreneur about your past, but you can't use those failures as a precedence to tell that, okay, now if I do any business I'm going to fail. It's sometimes, I've always seen failures as a process for the success, and it's very important to have those learnings, but not to quit. So after the World Economic Forum, there I'd met the president of the World Bank, Mr. Bob Zolik, and then he was very inspired on my story, and then he invited me to sit on the World Bank's ICT advisory board. And I felt that's pretty cool because it's a multilateral organization, and I had never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be part of the World Bank's board. And so they wanted young people to give them inputs on the policies which World Bank was drafting for ICT education, on how to skill and how to reskill people in IT education. It also was kind of impact for me across Globals to tell that, okay, fine, can we start building more products towards education? And when our sales team was selling to each individual schools, I always used to feel that, okay, we can never grow big if you're going behind the small fishes. So how do we go and acquire the large clients? So then I knew that one of the large clients was the Indian government, who had over 1,000 schools, and the commissioner would never give me appointment because he felt that we are unheard of company, we are too small company then, and I would befriend his secretary, and I would find out what flight is he flying in, and I would somehow I convinced her to share the seat number that he's been web checked into, so that I could take the same flight, and I sat next to him in the plane, and I made a pitch. So I think it's pretty important that you have to stay humble, but at the same time, when you have to be that slightly aggressive or slight arrogant or shameless, I think you have to be, because sending a fake email and disclosing your identity after you make a sale, if you feel good about it, if you don't feel immoral, and if no one's hurt, no one's killed in that, fine, that's still good because you've helped another company to show an opportunity. Same way, if you had to sit next to somebody in a plane and if you had to make a pitch, that's completely fine. But the more important, I think the worst thing is not to take an action at all. Like, you can sit back and you can always tell that, hey, I wish I had somehow met Bill Gates, because he was a few meters away from me, and I don't think in my entire lifetime I could ever meet him again. Or you go and take that action one day and say that, okay, I have nothing to lose, and for worst to worst, he'll just ignore me, or he'll just talk to me. So with that, so coming out of the comfort zone applied to me as well, where with all this I also realized that somewhat I couldn't see much growth of Globals itself as far as I was leading the company, because it's like if you like hiking, it's like you do a hiking in one of the mountains and you're at the peak, and after you've gone to the peak you feel that, okay, fine, I know I need to come down, and I need to select another peak which is more challenging and interesting. So, and I think that's exactly the same thing which I did when I decided to move out of Globals to build HappyEMI, which is a fintech startup what I'm running. Because, and I think the philosophy of HappyEMI was to do responsible lending for the millennials who are aspirational. How do you build a platform that is converging loyalty and lending, which means that if people want to buy a smartphone, then they could go to brand A or brand B. But if brand A is willing to pay HappyEMI the commission for bringing in a customer at the doorstep, I could waive off the interest charges to the customer, offer the customer 0% interest. So the customer goes and buys at brand A, and he can pay in 6 months, or he can pay over 9 months. He can spread the payment of the purchase of the mobile phone without worrying about paying an interest. So our whole idea was to offer 0% finance to the customers when they do purchases in stores or in online platforms. And we wanted to make money from the brands and the retailers, so that everyone's happy. The brand or the store is happy because I bought incremental foot traffic to them, and the customer is very happy because he's able to finance a product that he wants to buy without he paying any additional finance charges or interest charges. And at the back end, we work with multiple banks and also lenders, so the NBFCs, who are also very happy because I've managed to get them a customer who is out there in the mall or in the shop. So in my parents' generation, they were saving money, and then they would go on a vacation, or they'd buy a product. But when I talk to my own friends and my peers, like, it looks like they would want to they would want to go on a vacation or a holiday right now, or they want to buy or upgrade their phones right now, and they're okay to pay over 6 months. We want to disrupt the credit card. If credit card had to be reinvented in 2019 or 2018, it would look like HappyEMI. And the very fact that in India, the penetration of credit card and penetration of consumer credit has been so very low. The gap between 27 million Indians and 800 million Indians who have access to debit cards, I think this gap is what HappyEMI is running behind. And we want to make use of the fact that they all have access to computers in their hand, which is the smartphones, and which is kind of their new identity. So now using the smartphones that they have, is there any way that we could help them? We could underwrite the customer's risk instantly. We could offer them access to credit, access to financial services from their phone itself, from the comfort of their phone, so that they do not have to have the ugly or unpleasant experiences of walking to bank, or the fear of them getting rejected because they don't have a CIBIL score or a bureau score. So I think HappyEMI has smartly used the technology to solve this problem, and we are in a fortunate position that in such a short span, within a year, we're almost growing by 5% every week, and we are almost having 10,000 customers, having almost 3,000 partners, and I think we plan to raise a big round of funding in few weeks from now, and it's a very large opportunity that we are going behind, and I'm super excited for this. So guys, that was my story of building a company at 14 and scaling it up, and as I told, to make it as one of the world's fastest growing technology company, as featured by Economist. So I hope you liked it. If you did so, I would kindly request you to share with your friends and family who may get inspired or who may benefit out of my experiences and my failures, which could be learning for them. If you'd like to ask anything, you can feel free to drop a line in the comments, and I'll personally reply to it. If not, I'll figure out a way to reach out to you to address those queries. So thank you so much for listening, and please do share. Thank you.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. Awesome.
Oh yeah? What do you mean? Actually, I was in Bangalore for 7 years. I spent back in 2016. And we have a show again last year for 4 months. Then just because we were trying to start these four languages for Millionaires, but then we thought that because me and my younger brother we didn't know any language, so we were like, okay, because